And wudu is our topic for today. The 8th hadith is one of the great hadith with us. So who would volunteer to read this hadith, please? Kalim Wudhu.
Humran, the freed slave of Usman, said, I saw Usman, may Allah be pleased with him, calling for a vessel of water and poured water over his hands 3 times and then washed them. Then he put his right hand in the vessel and rinsed his mouth and cleaned his nose. Then he washed his face 3 times and his hands up to the elbows 3 times. Then wiped his head, then washed his feet 3 times. Then he said that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had said, he who performed ablution like this ablution of mine and offered 2 rakahs of prayer without allowing his thoughts to be distracted, all his previous sins would be expiated.
Very well. This hadith of Humran, one of the servants of Uthman ibn Affan, may Allah be pleased with him, the 3rd Caliph of Islam, and twice the son-in-law of the Prophet ﷺ, as he married to 2 of his daughters. May Allah be pleased with them all. He is describing to us how the Prophet ﷺ performed wudu. And if you go to look at what he had done, you will find it to be in compliance with the Quran. Because in Surah Al-Ma'idah, chapter 5, verse 6, Allah describes to us how we should perform wudu. And as you recall in previous episodes, we said that there are 6 pillars of wudu. Is this correct? So, let's count them once again. The first pillar, washing the face, Abdurrahman. Second pillar, hands or rinsing the mouth or the nose. No. See, you have to, when studying fiqh, be in full concentration. It's like playing badminton. If you blink when he's serving, you lose. And in fiqh, every single word counts. And that is why you study the fundamentals of fiqh, usul al-fiqh, which is a very serious science that teaches you the meaning and how to use each word. And that is why they have general meaning and they have specific meaning. And they have what is known as mutlaq and muqayyad. And all these terminologies refer to the usage of the word and what it means. We go back again, concentrate. We have 6 pillars of wudu. Without any of them, your wudu is invalid. That is why when we say pillar, also this is studied in fundamentals of fiqh. When you verify something to be a pillar, without it the whole building collapses. So pillars of prayer, ruku'. If I forget to make ruku', if I do not bow once in a 4 rak'ah prayer, so I did only 3, but one of them I forgot, I immediately went into prostration. Is my prayer valid? My prayer is invalid, unless I make up for that during the prayer. Why? Because a pillar has gone. So we go back again. 4 of the pillars are mentioned in the Quran. Washing the face, which includes rinsing the mouth and inhaling and blowing your nose. Washing your arms till the elbows. So saying that washing the hands is not sufficient, because this is a hand, and in Arabic this also can mean to be the hand, which is the full arm. So you have to be specific. And that is why when Allah tells us in the Quran that the punishment of a person who steals is to chop his hand, to chop his hand, to chop his hand, to chop his hand, you have to know, because the word in Arabic may carry all of these meanings. So it is essential that you know what you meant by this. And for an example, you know the word ayn in Arabic. What does it mean? Eye. Ayn means eye. However, it has other meanings. For example, the letter ayn, which begins with a. My name is Asim. So the first letter in my name is ayn. It means the organ itself, the eye. It means a spring of water. عين جارية. فيها عين جارية in the Quran, Surah Al-Ghashiyah. It also means a spy. I sent a ayn. I sent an eye to go and find out what's happening. And it also means the entity of things. Aynu shay. The entity of this thing and not this thing. So the word itself has a number of meanings. So you have to be in fiqh very practical and very specific. When you say washing the hands, I did that in the beginning. No, it's washing the arms up to the elbows. And in the Quran it refers to aidi. Aydiyakum ila al-marafiq. And the third pillar, wiping our heads and then washing our feet
to the ankles.
Up to the ankles. Number 5, order. What do we mean by order? I cannot start with my feet and then my face. I have to go face, arms to the elbows, head, and then feet to the ankles. And number 6 is the continuity or the sequence, in the sense that I don't leave a big gap. Leaving a gap means that I'm not being in sequence and then I have to do it all over again. So these are the pillars. If you look at the hadith, you'll find the pillars. But you'll find also an added value, which is the sunnah. What do we mean by sunnah? Things if you do, you're rewarded. If you don't do, you are not sinful. You're not sinful. So let's go on to look at the hadith of Uthman. First of all, the first thing he did was to pour water and washing his hands 3 times. Why? We said that before, that this is so that you are able to enter your hands into the vessel. If you don't wash your hand, maybe your hands have dirt, germs, they're not clean, smelly. By entering your hands into the vessel before washing it, this would not make you feel good and would not make those coming behind you to use the water feel good neither. So he did this, and this is a sunnah. The Prophet is the one who did it, because he's describing to us what the Prophet did, alayhi salatu wasalam. Then he got his hand, right hand, in the water, took a scoop, made rinsing the mouth, inhaling and blowing, and he did not tell us here how many times. So we are assuming it is once, because afterwards he says, then he washed his face 3 times. So now we know that this is different than washing the face. I don't know, let's assume it's once, and washing the face 3 times. Then he washed his hands up to the elbows 3 times. Okay, so 3 times again. Then he wiped his head, then washed his feet 3 times. Wiping the head how many times? He did not say. So we assume that it is once. And then he said, I have seen the Prophet ﷺ perform wudu exactly as I've showed you. And then he said, whoever performs wudu like this and prays 2 rak'ahs without talking to himself, without allowing the thought to be distracted, Allah would forgive all of his previous sins. Very easy. Has anybody tried it? Has anybody tried these 2 rak'ahs? Were you successful? Not always. Well, it is very difficult. It needs training. It cannot come from the first time. It is exactly when you go to the gym and try to bench press 100 kilograms. You cannot even lift it. But if you start with 5 kilograms and over the year you build it up to 30, and over the 3-4 years you build it up to 100, it will come. Likewise, if you try this prayer once, 5 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, maybe. Why? Because every time you're fighting yourself, and those who fight, who struggle, Allah would guide them. Allah said in the last verse of Surah Al-Ankabut, وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلُنَا. Those who struggle in our cause, in Allah's cause, we will guide them. So you struggle, you will attain this. And the reward is not something to be taken lightly. all of your previous sins are forgiven. So I think it's worth trying every now and then. So these are 2 rak'ahs. Our topic is not these 2 rak'ahs. Our topic is wudu, ablution. So we will go back to some of the lessons that can be learned from this hadith just after the break. So stay tuned. The hadith of Uthman, may Allah be pleased with him, regarding wudu, has a lot of lessons we could learn from. Among them, first, that all beautiful things we have to begin by using the right hand. And that is why he did this when performing wudu. First of all, he washed his hands and then entered his right hand rather than entering both hands. And one of the things that scholars differed upon is the issue of turning the water in your mouth and inhaling and blowing your nose. Is it mandatory? Is it part of your wudu or not? The majority of scholars stated that this is not part of the wudu and it is not mandatory. However, other scholars said that it is mandatory. Imam Ahmad, may Allah have mercy on his soul, said that it is mandatory in wudu, simply because the Prophet ﷺ had never ever left it. There is not a single report that he performed wudu without making madmada and istinshaq and istinthar, turning the water in his mouth, rinsing his mouth and inhaling and blowing his nose. And secondly, because of the hadith of Laqit ibn Sabura, may Allah be pleased with him, when the Prophet told him, exaggerate in turning the water in your mouth and inhaling and blowing your nose unless you're fasting. So he's telling him, do that and do that quite well, meaning that it is something that's mandatory. Now, having said that, using the right hand side, I'll give you a scenario and tell me if my wudu is correct or not. I went to the bathroom, turned the faucet on, made madmada, istinshaq, istinthar, and washed my face. Washed my hands to the elbows, wiped my head and my feet. Is my wudu correct or not? Those who say correct, raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Those who say it's not correct, raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You've raised your hands twice? So you are with or without, and it's not correct. Okay. Those who say it is not correct, why? Can you justify? Kelly?
You did not wash your hands in the beginning.
Yes, I did not wash my hands in the beginning. Does this have to do anything with wudu? Is it mandatory? Is it a pillar? Is it a sunnah? Always classify things in their perspective, so that I can identify this is wajib, mandatory, this is a pillar, this is a sunnah. So if I do not do the sunnah, no problem. I lose the reward, but it's no problem. If I do not do the wajib intentionally, there's a problem. If I don't do the pillar, then there is no ibadah. So let's go back to the pillars of wudu. First of all, the first 4 mentioned in the Quran. I did exactly what Allah mentioned in the Quran in chapter 5 verse 6. O you who believe, if you want to pray, what do? Wash your face. And this is what I did. Therefore my wudu was 100% correct. Those who said my wudu was correct, they get full mark. Those who don't, next year inshallah. I'll give you another scenario. I went, washed my hand 3 times, washed my face, inhaled and blew my nose, and turned the water in my mouth, and then continued the rest. My wudu is correct or not correct? Yes, bro. He thinks he's correct, but it's not part of the sunnah. Who shares the opinion? Who? Okay, nobody. Who says that it's incorrect? 1. And the rest, they are undecided yet, undetermined. The question is it correct or not? The answer is, it is correct. Why? The sequence is not there. Yeah, the sequence is there. Face, and this is all face. Whether you begin by washing, or you begin by turning the water in your mouth, or begin by inhaling and blowing your nose. All these three are the same. So there's no problem. Understood? No problem. Third and last scenario. I went to the bathroom, said Bismillah, washed my hands 3 times. And I'm going to describe to you exactly what I'm going to do. And then water, mouth, nose, my face, the water, my left hand, my right hand, head, then my feet. Wudu is correct or incorrect? Those who say correct, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Those who say incorrect, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Tell me why.
Was it because the left hand was used first?
Yes. I did the left hand first and then the right. But this is again sunnah. Not a pillar and not mandatory. So I can begin with the left and the right then. And left foot and right foot. Is the sequence, is the order correct? Yes. Face, arms, head and legs. But I switched the arms. Instead of right, I began with the left. And that is why Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, said, I care less if I begin with the left or with the right. Because it follows the sequence of the Quran. So it is a sunnah to begin with the right, but if you begin with the left, it is not a problem. However, I made another mistake while doing the wudu that makes my wudu, according to a lot of scholars, not valid. Yes?
You didn't do your ears for some reason.
I didn't even wipe my head. I said, continue the... No, the ears,
that's
it's not an issue.
Sure.
Any ideas? Okay, just to save time. The biggest problem that a lot of Muslims don't pay attention to is that when they wash in the beginning their hands 3 times, when it comes to washing the arm, they skip the palm of their hands. So they wash from the wrist to the elbows. What about the palm? So we washed it in the beginning. But washing it from the beginning is a sunnah, is not part of the order. So you actually did not complete your wudu. Imagine how many people are doing this. Do you see it do you do it yourself? You wash in the beginning. After washing the face, the water is coming down. You just wash from here to there. And then you wash from here to there. What about the palms? I don't have to. I wash them in the beginning. The order is important, and that is why when you wash your hand in wudu, you have to wash the palm of your hand. And part of the sunnah is to wash the inside of your fingers with your other fingers and to the elbows. So this is quite important. Does anybody have any questions regarding this point? Well, we go on.
Sheikh, from the beginning till the end, if you can just classify what are the pillars and the mandatory and the sunnah. We are getting confused with the mandatory and the sunnah.
Okay.
Pillars are clear.
It is an issue of dispute about the mandatory things, because as we've stated, the majority consider that the nose and the mouth are voluntary, not mandatory. And the most authentic opinion, it is mandatory. So the sunnah is that you begin with saying Bismillah. Not saying Bismillah does not nullify your wudu. Your wudu is intact, but it is of a lesser grade and degree. And a lot of the times people say, where do we say Bismillah? If we're in the bathroom, can we say verbally Bismillah? Can we? Now people are hesitant in answering. Yes, we can say Bismillah, unless it is the place where we answer the call of nature. And even if it's in the place where we answer the call of nature, it is different than the place that the companions used to answer the call of nature. Why? At the time of the Prophet, they did not have any running water, they did not have any toilets. So they had to go to the desert or out of the city to answer the call of nature. So the dirt, the filth, the feces, the urine was there. Except for those who buried it, and I don't think that a lot of people cared about that, because nature will take its course. Nowadays, our bathrooms are not like this. On the contrary, our bathrooms in our homes sometimes are even more clean than our living rooms. Because everybody is careful to wash it, to have it in perfect hygiene and to put detergents and there is no filth. All the najasa is gone. So that's why some scholars even say that it is permissible to say Bismillah in a loud voice. But to take it in between, it's sufficient for you to move your lips by saying, this is enough. Second of all, washing the hand, this is part of the sunnah. If you just immediately go and rinse your mouth and blow your nose and wash your face, it does the job. Third of all, the sequence in the pillar, the order in the pillar, the face, it has three things: mouth, nose, and washing the face. If I start with any of those, it's permissible, because the order is sunnah. It's not mandatory in the pillar itself. Thirdly, likewise, when I wash the arms, if I begin with the right, this is a sunnah. If I begin with the left, this is okay. Wiping the head, it has to be once. This is the sunnah. If you do more, you are sinful. Why? Because wiping the head is to minimize the exposure of the head to water. Otherwise, Allah could have ordered us to wash our head, our hair every time. What will happen? You will catch cold 24/7. You will always be sneezing and coughing and having bad illnesses because of this. Allah made it easy only once. What is the sunnah in it? To go back and forward. And the scholars all say that this is a pillar. However, the sunnah is quite obvious. The Prophet always wiped his hair once. To do the ears, the Prophet said the ears are part of the head in the hadith. So it is not only a sunnah, it becomes mandatory as well. And to wash your feet, this is obvious up to the ankles. We move on to hadith number 9 of this blessed book of Umdatul Ahkam, and the hadith of Abdullah ibn Zayd, may Allah be pleased with him, the companion of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. Abdurrahman, would you do us the honor, please?
Narrated Yahya al-Ma'zini, a person asked Abdullah ibn Zayd, may Allah be pleased with him, the grandfather of Amr bin Yahya, can you show me how the Messenger of Allah, may peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, used to perform ablution? Abdullah ibn Zayd, may Allah be pleased with him, replied in the affirmative and asked for water. He poured it on his hands and washed them twice. Then he rinsed his mouth 3 times and washed his nose with water 3 times by putting water in it and blowing it out. He washed his face 3 times, and after that he washed his forearms up to the elbows twice, and then passed his wet hands over his head from its front to its back and vice versa, beginning from the front and taking them to the back of his head up to the nape of the neck, and then brought them to the front again from where he started and washed his feet up to the ankles.
Very well. Also, there is another narration that he started from the beginning of his head till the back of his head and then going back where he started from. In another narration, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Abdullah ibn Zayd, he came to us and we got him a bucket of copper, made of copper. And all of these hadiths are agreed upon. This hadith is similar to the hadith of Uthman, which we spoke about last time we met. But there are differences, slight differences. The hadith of Abdullah ibn Zayd, may Allah be pleased with him, differs with the hadith of Uthman, may Allah be pleased with him, in the sense that, first, in the hadith of Abdullah ibn Zayd, it clearly states that rinsing the mouth and inhaling, blowing the nose is how many times? 3 times. In the hadith of Uthman, it did not say, so we didn't know. Now we know. This is one of the benefits of looking into all the hadiths to learn exactly what's the right thing to do. Also, hadith of Abdullah ibn Zayd is a little bit different, because hadith Uthman, we wash the hand how many times? In the hadith of Uthman, we wash the hands 3 times. In hadith Abdullah ibn Zayd, we wash them twice. What do we learn from this? We learn that the number can differ, can fluctuate. I can do this and I can do that. And that is why so many people tell us, how many times can I perform wudu? How many times do I have to wash my hand? The Prophet ﷺ sunnah, he performed wudu by washing each limb once. And he did that by washing each limb twice. And he did that by washing each limb thrice. But he never exceeded that. So the maximum is 3, the minimum is 1. Can I differ? Yes, depending on the weather, depending on the quantity of water, depending on the need for cleaning the organ itself. For example, I washed my hand once, rinsed my mouth, blew my nose, washed my face once. When I came to my arm, it was a little bit dirty, so I washed it 3 times. No problem? No problem. So it depends. You do it once, you do it twice, you do it 3 times, it's all the same, alhamdulillah. Wiping the head is once. This is clarified here. Now, the scholars say it is not permissible for you to do it twice. One would say, Akhi, what's wrong? I'd like to wash my head. What's wrong in that? Isn't that cleanliness? What do we say to this man? If someone says, I don't want to wipe over my head, I want to wash it. Is he doing something well? Isn't it cleaner? Isn't it cleaner for the head? It is. It is cleaner for the head. When you wash your head, isn't it more cleaning than wiping it? Yes. But what is the problem? There is a big problem. What is the problem? Listen to the fiqh of the Salaf. Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib, may Allah have mercy on his soul, one of the greatest tabi'een. And he, you know, when I look at their life story, I feel a little bit silly. Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib says about himself, I have prayed in the first row of the masjid of Medina for 40 years, not missing one prayer. 40 years, in the masjid of Medina. And he says, and for 30 years, I never looked at the back of someone in front of me. Meaning he never prayed in the second row, always in the first row. 30 years? Now compare this to ourselves. When some of the Muslims may pray Asr 2 minutes before Maghrib. What is this? What is this? We have a big problem we have to fix. We have to advise ourselves. The most important things in our lives is our bank account. No, 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 no. Is my job. No, 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 no. Is my wife. No. The most important thing in my life is my prayer. So Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib, let's go back to our topic. What did he do? He saw a man coming between adhan of Fajr and Iqamah. So the adhan is done. People are waiting for the Imam to come. And the man was praying 2 rak'ahs. Assalamu alaikum. Allahu Akbar. 2 rak'ahs, 2 rak'ahs, 2 rak'ahs. Volunteering. Sa'id ibn Musayyib said, my son, don't do this. The Prophet ﷺ forbade us from praying between adhan and iqamah of Fajr, except the 2 rak'ah of Sunnah. Authentic hadith. Shaykh al-Albani authenticated it. What did the man do? Like all of us, Jazakallah khair? No. You're teaching me? He said, Abu Muhammad, meaning Sa'id ibn Musayyib, I will pray. Despite what you have said, I will pray. Do you think Allah will punish me for praying for him? Look at the attitude. He is thinking that I'm doing it for Allah, so khalas. What did Sa'id ibn Musayyib say? He said, my son, Allah will not punish you for praying for him. Allah will punish you for going against the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And likewise, if someone is making wudu and then he puts his head under the faucet and washes his head, What are you doing? He says, it's more clean. It's good, it's better. I tell him, Allah will punish you for going against the sunnah. And that is why the Prophet, when he performed wudu, he said, whoever exceeds, he has made an aggression. Someone says, I would like to make 5 times washing my hands and feet. We tell him, you have made an act of aggression because you went against the sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. Okay, you forgot, but I will remind you. What about washing the neck? Do you do it here? A lot of the Muslims do it, right? After wiping their head, they do their ears and they do this or they do this. Is this part of the sunnah? Not at all. It is not. It's okay. It's cleanliness. No, it's not. You're going against the sunnah now again. If you want to clean yourself after wudu, after prayer, go and take a bath. It's up to you. But don't associate these acts with wudu. Wudu is a form of worship. It's a ritual that you have to follow exactly. What about some of the dua that we find in books? When we wash our hand, when we wash my face, oh Allah, make in my face nur, light, and make my arms light. Oh Allah, don't let me watch things that is haram. While doing wudu, they are saying these du'as. Is this part of the sunnah? No. Al-Ghazali said this in Ihya Ulum al-Din, or Sheikh so-and-so said this. With all due respect to all scholars, we respect them. But we take our religion not from scholars, not from imams. We take our religion from the Quran and the Sunnah. If the Prophet did it, alayhi salatu wasalam, he says, yes, he did it. Give me your hadith, authentic hadith. Because I can give you 1,000 unauthentic hadith. It was reported that a man who used to make harisa. Harisa is some type of Arab food, which is made sometimes, it's a sweet and it's also a meat done with bread. So it has 2 names. So the man was working in this business and nobody came to him. So he put a sign on his shop saying, Abu Hurairah narrated that the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, eat harisa because it makes your back stronger. And everybody started buying from him and the man became a millionaire. You make hadith, you fabricate hadith, no problem. You go to hell, no problem. But as Muslims, someone says, the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam. Few days ago I was on Facebook and I found, and Facebook is something I would not like to go into now, because there are so many fitna, so many sins, so many mixing, so many flirting, so many pictures, so many bad things of Muslims showing off. Muslims showing off. This is Christmas 2010. You go to the album, you see people mixing, dancing, partying, clubbing, drinking, smoking pot. And his name is Abdul Latif Muhammad. He's a Muslim. You go to sister's Facebook page, interests in men. Sister, what is this? And so I'm not going to talk about Facebook, but one of the brothers posted something on his page saying that the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, when a man takes his wife's hand in love and compassion, Allah looks at them with mercy. Reported by Imam Bukhari in the Sahih. This hadith is fabricated. It's not in the Bukhari, not in the Muslim, in Tirmidhi, not even in Musannaf ibn Abi Shayba, not even in Mustadrak for the Hakim or for the Darimi. Nowhere in any books of the hadith. It is fabricated. It's from somebody's mind. Yet people are so, I wouldn't say courageous, they're so stupid in lying on the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet says, whoever lies on me, whoever fabricates a hadith on me and tells people the Prophet said and he did not say that, he should take his place in hell. He should look at his seat in hell. Because he's lying on Allah. He's fabricating in the religion of Allah. So all of these du'as are innovations and a fabrication that we must not do. However, one would maybe ask himself, is it permissible if I'm in the state of wudu to make another wudu? We have it in Arabic, we say we renew our wudu. I'm in the state of wudu. I prayed Asr, I'm still observing my state of wudu. Now it's time for Maghrib. is it permissible for me to go and make wudu again, or would this considered to be wasting of water? What do you think? Permissible. Permissible. The evidence, Allah Azza wa Jalla said, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu idha qumtum. O you who believe, whenever you want to pray, offer ablution. So this is general. Not only that, in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ in Sahih Imam Muslim, the Prophet was asked, when we eat mutton meat, do we have to offer wudu? The Prophet says, if you wish. Meaning that if you're in the state of wudu and you eat mutton, you eat sheep meat, if you don't, your wudu is intact. If you want to renew your wudu, the Prophet did not tell him, no, don't do it. The Prophet says, if you wish, meaning that you can offer this.